Since I started reading manga last month, I have read over 30 volumes, which seems bonkers to me, and today we are going to talk about it. I feel like I'm in a pretty good position to be able to tell you whether these are books that I would recommend for people maybe transitioning across to manga, or for people that are already into it and have never read the books that I'm going to discuss. Some of these books are funny, some of these books are just minging, some of these books have got plot twists. There's pretty much something for everyone. But one thing I can guarantee is that some of these books are class. I really enjoyed a lot of the books that I'm going to sit down and discuss with you. So hopefully there might be some gems in there that you've not read before, or some popular books that you've just never picked up, and I might be able to encourage you to do so. Do me a favour, if you do enjoy this video though, please engage with it, whether that be a comment, like, or subscribing to the page. It just lets me know what kind of content you enjoy, so I can continue doing a similar kind of content in future. I'm now going to dive straight into it with the first book that I decided to start reading when I started my manga journey back in July, and that was Berserk. Yeah, you heard me right, yeah. I started with this. Am I mental? Yeah, I am actually. For the people that follow me on my other socials, they can vouch for that. I'm quite mental. But the only knowledge I had of Berserk going into it was going onto Google and typing which is the best dark fantasy series to read if you're new to manga. And this came up on everyone's recommendation, so I was like, look, I'll start where everyone says I should start. Obviously, I saw the typical comments where people were like, do not start with Berserk. It is mental, it is heavy. I started with Berserk because I love a challenge. And this story was just everything I wanted from an introduction to manga. It follows a dude called Guts, who's got a big sword, and he just chops things up with it. And at the start of the story, you're kind of introduced to this man who is kind of like a blank slate. You don't really give anything away. You're just wondering, like, why are you so angry? He's just going around and just hacking, slashing everything. And later on, as the story progresses, you start to understand why he's so angry. And boy, has Guts been through it. Yeah, he has. I ate the first 9 volumes of this up. There's a video on my page of me reacting to the first 9 volumes. I am going to be picking up volume 10 within the next week. Unfortunately, after I'd finished volume 9, I didn't own volume 10, but I have been blessed by the book fairy gods, and Macaulay, my best friend, actually sent me this off my Amazon wishlist. So I now have the deluxe edition number 4, which includes volumes 10, 11 and 12. So I will be picking this up probably next week, and I'll be reacting via video for you to see how I feel and what I think about Guts' journey. Stuff is starting to get a lot deeper now. Guts met a unbelievable character called Casca in the last couple of volumes that I read, and I'm really excited to see where their relationship goes. Cannot wait to pick this up. Please bear in mind, if you are going to pick this up, yes, I'm new to manga. Yes, this worked for me. The trigger warnings in this book are all of them. It is so dark. So before you dive into this, if you have trigger warnings, check them, because they are probably in this. After I'd finished Berserk and had finished crying in a corner because I couldn't pick up volume 10, I then went onto my Kindle and noticed that Attack on Titan was on Kindle Unlimited. I'm a Kindle Unlimited subscription payer, if that's what you want to call it. And I thought, why not give it a go? So I read the first 2 volumes in Attack on Titan. That was a really fun experience. A lot darker than I thought. Some of the art was a little bit odd to me to start off with. These big overgrown babies without genitalia looking Titan things confused me a little bit. I didn't love the actual art of those Titans to start off with, but as I read through the first 2 volumes, it actually grew on me a little bit and I started to appreciate it. That story is a world where there's these big Titans going around. Titans are just like, I've already described them, big overgrown, adult baby looking non-genitalia things that bite people's heads off. And humans and those things have been in some sort of peaceful scenario for some time. Humans have barricaded themselves in this city that's got 3 walls around it, and then one day a big Titan comes up and just yeets this wall down, and then breaches, bites some humans' heads off, the humans retreat into wall 2, and it's the story of that. It is a group of people who are like Titan hunters, and that is who you are following. I'm quite excited to continue this. The only reason I stopped is because I believe the Kindle Unlimited kind of catalogue is only free up to like volume 6 or 7. That wasn't intentional. I work in a school. I can't help it. I want to continue with that series, but I want to be able to read it one after another after another. I've already been hurt by Berserk. I don't want to continue to keep getting hurt by a series that I don't own or can't source the material to read through because I've got a bad memory. I tend to forget things when I leave long gaps between reading books. So I try to read one after another if I can. That is another series I would definitely recommend you try out. I was then a little bit of a sheep, and that's the back of a book. That's the front of the book. Dragon Ball. I picked this up because everyone said that you're not really a manga reader unless you've tried reading Dragon Ball, and I am easily influenced. So I was like, but I want to be a manga reader. Please invite me into this community. So I picked it up and I just thought, look, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what they tell me to do because I'm new to this community. And if they say, I do. And I enjoyed this. It just felt a little bit immature in certain parts of the book. However, on another hand, there were parts of the book where I was belly chuckling, like really, really funny. But then I'd realise I was laughing at Bulma flashing her knickers to a pervy old man riding a turtle. Then in my head, I'm like, right, this dude's 70 years old, Bulma's 16. I'm laughing, this is weird. Like, there's a lot of that in this book. And once I kind of got past that and accepted that it was going to be sort of normalised in this series, I then started to enjoy the story of Goku and his story of just finding kind of his place in life and going on this adventure where he is going to learn so much about himself. And I would say face fears, but Goku has no fears. He just runs headfirst into every single battle and punches things really, really hard. I found this to be such a easy read, and it never felt like I had to really fully focus on much. I am now through the first, I believe, 6 volumes of Dragon Ball. I own the first 12, I think, just here behind me. I will be continuing that. I'm excited to see how the Dragon Ball series concludes and then how it turns up a notch in Dragon Ball Z. I don't think that Dragon Ball will go down as one of my favourites. Actually, I know it won't go down as one of my favourites, but I believe that Dragon Ball Z is a little bit more mature and maybe takes things a little bit more serious. This feels like it was maybe written as a bit of a comedy, and there are some serious themes in there, but it doesn't seem to take itself too seriously, which I'm fine with. I enjoy a good time, but I also like some serious things in the background as well. So I'm excited to see how this finishes, and then I am excited to see who the new cast of characters is that I will follow in Dragon Ball Z. The next book that I read was Kaiju No. 8. Now, the fact that I cannot recollect what happens in this story, I guess, says enough. I did a video on this when I read it, and I remember saying that I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it in the moment, but I found it quite forgetful. All I can tell you about this story is that it is about a man, I believe, who something happens to him and he gets like merged with a kaiju, which is this badass looking thing on the front, and then he becomes half kaiju, half human, hunting down kaiju, which are these things here. I think I've got the plot right. I don't know if it's just that my brain wasn't braining at the time when I read this story, or if the story is just genuinely forgetful. I will say I have just started taking ADHD medication, which I'm told will help me start to focus more and retain information better and stuff. So I will be retrying this because it is a series that's been recommended a lot. I know that I enjoyed it in the moment. I just don't remember anything that happened in this story. So I think we'll probably give this another go. And then if after the second try of reading this, then if I'm not hooked, then we'll just put it down and we'll move on. If I am hooked, then we'll blame the lack of dopamine historically, and now the dopamine levels are like flatlining, then yeah, maybe we'll continue. Kagurabachi, I think that's how you say it. This one here by Takeru Hokazono. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name. I'm still butchering all these Japanese names, but we'll get with it eventually. I've actually read the first 7 of these. I read the first 3 physically, and then I read the next 4 on Shonen Jump. I really, really enjoyed this. It didn't blow me away. It's not my favourite, but it very much reminded me of the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I have mentioned this in a previous video. It's urban fantasy, it's Yakuza, it's samurais and katanas and hack and slash, and just really, really good. The only reason I stopped reading this at volume 7 was because I found myself not particularly caring about the characters. I don't know if that's because there were so many characters or just because I didn't gel necessarily with any character. The main character in particular, I didn't care for, and I really didn't care if he got his head chopped off on the next page. And for me, that matters. I want to always be invested in, especially the main character. If I'm going to spend a lot of time with a character, I want to care about what happens to them. And I just didn't find myself caring particularly too much. So this is a series that I will continue because the plot itself was very unique for me and enjoyable, but I wanted to move away for a little bit from this to try and dive into another book to see if I could find some characters that I really loved. I'm very, very character driven and very character first before plot and anything else, which, you know, different, what do they call, different strokes for different folks. But I'd still recommend it though. Good series, just not my favourite. The next book that I read, I bloody loved. This was another one on Shonen Jump, I think, and it was called All You Need Is Kill. And this story followed a main character whose name I cannot remember. And this character it was in a sci-fi setting and they were fighting like aliens and stuff. But every single time the main character died, they restarted, like almost like woke up from a dream at the same point and had to try and figure out another way to overcome the thing that killed them. And it was just a vicious cycle of death. And there were so many themes within this story that were just so thought-provoking. This was a story that from start to finish, almost every single page just made me stop and think. And I appreciate that in a book. I don't really want to give you too much more on the plot other than what I've given you. It's one of them where you kind of want to go in as blind as possible, because I went into this very blind and I feel like I took so much more away from it not knowing what was coming next. So All You Need Is Kill is definitely a book that I would recommend, and it's also a book that I've seen loads of times on Vinted for like £2-3. So I will be picking it up at some point, but ain't no way I'm buying a book on Vinted for £2 and then paying £3 for protection and shipping. So when I find it in a bundle, I'll be picking it up as a keeper to go on the shelves forever. Goodbye, Eri. Goodbye, Eri. Goodbye, Eri. What a book. This was the first book I'd given 5 stars since reading Berserk. It was insane. I cannot put into words the feelings that book made me feel. I was shooketh to my core. It follows a young man going through stuff. He don't really fit in at school. He's an outcast. Stuff happens to him that leads him to just not want to be alive anymore. And someone convinces him to just give life another go. And the things that he has failed at, or the things that he is targeted for, to try again, because she can see his value, even if he can't and others can't, and she wants the world to see his value. So this story, in its simplest form, is these 2 people trying to make him believe in himself and try and show the world that he can do what they are saying he can't. But it is so much more than that. It deals with so much, like loss and depression and identity and grief and suicide and just so many dark and important themes. I got to the end of this book and don't think I read for 2 days, which is unlike me. I usually go from one book to another. Another book that I want you to go in blind to. Please check your trigger warnings for this one, because again, it's not going to be the easiest of reads, but it is definitely, if you are of the stronger stomach when it comes to reading, and I don't mean violence and gore, I mean some of the just miserable themes that will be covered in this book. If you can hack that, please try it if you haven't already. Phenomenal book. Really enjoyed this one. I then moved on to Death Note because I had these black edition copies. I had the first 8 because I found them on Vinted for like £7. It were an absolute steal. And I wanted like a murder mystery. And someone had told me these were murder mystery books. So I picked this up, very blind, didn't know what to expect. And this is a story that follows a dude called Light Yagami. I think that's what his name is. And Light's a bit of a G to start off with, actually. He's really clever. He's quite popular in his social setting. People look up to him. He doesn't really need to try hard at school. He's just got it. And then he stumbles upon a death note which has been dropped by a death god onto Earth. And said death note gives Light the ability to be able to unalive anybody that he wants. He then goes on this mad mission and tries to cleanse the world of all the people that wrong and turns into a bit of a prick. If I'm honest, I didn't really like him towards the end of volume 3/4. I think he was going too far. I think he was having a power trip. He wasn't really thinking sensibly, and he was letting the power that he had been gifted get to his head. Don't get me wrong. There have been times in my life when I would have gladly accepted this death note and unalived some of my enemies, or I've thought about it. I wouldn't actually do it, but I've thought about it. If you've never thought about a person you so despise not existing on this earth, then you are a better person than I will probably burn in hell. But this book does a fantastic job, I think anyway, of asking that question of morality and what you would do in that same situation. There are certain pages in this book where I despise Light for the decisions that he makes, and then other pages where I'm like, meh, kill him. I get it. It's a really, really good book. I believe this is is it shonen? That's targeted at like 12 to 18-year-old kids. I think adults will very much enjoy this. I'm a 36-year-old, and I think this book was a really good time. Really enjoyed book 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm about halfway through book 6 now, which is like the third one of these, and I'm going to be continuing. It's a really fun time. Cat and mouse, kind of police procedural, detective. Then you've got the aspect of the kind of fantasy elements with the Shinigami. Anyway, these like gods that kill people, or at least influence the death of people and give you a nudge to help you kill them. You've got that aspect of it. Got the relationships, you've got things happening with certain characters, they're going through stuff. I just feel like this series offers a lot for a lot of people, so I think it would like definitely appeal to a broad audience. I definitely recommend it. I think it's good. And then lastly, the 5 last volumes that I've read are Solo Leveling. I know this is number 1, but number 5's downstairs because I'm currently reading it. So I've read the first 4 of these literally in the last like 2 or 3 days, and I'm currently on book 5. Frustratingly, I don't own book 6, so I can't go straight into it, and I can't find anywhere online. I've seen something called like Webtoon, but it's not on there. Can't find any websites where I can pay subscriptions and read this online. So if you do know where I can read this online for free legally, because I would happily like pay towards the author's services because it's a fantastic story, then please tell me in the comments. This is a story that follows a legend called Jinwoo. I think that's what his name is. I'm terrible with names. His name is Jinwoo Sung. And he starts off as just this underdog. He is in a world where they have these dungeons almost, and you have these dungeon hunters, we'll call them. So you've got these guilds of hunters that go into these dungeons and they clear them out, they defeat all the monsters, they come back, they shut the gate, they come out with loot and gold and stuff, and they get rich. But he's an E-rank hunter. He's bottom of food chain. He's weak. He's terrible. Everyone laughs at him. They're like, Jinwoo's a loser. You're weak. And he don't like that. So he goes into this dungeon right at the start of book 1. And at the end of the dungeon, he basically loses like an arm or a leg or something. Then wakes up in hospital and he's like, whoa, what's going on here? Notifications are pinging around everywhere. And he has become a awakened, I think it's called an awakened, reawakened man. So he can actually start to level up now. So you've got a progressive element where he can level up, he can get better loot, he can become stronger. And he may or may not, as the story progresses, become stronger and stronger and stronger until he becomes like an urban legend, almost. But it is so much more than that. There is politics in the background. There is a story of a young boy who just wants to be looked up to. There's stuff going on in the background with his family. He has got things to fight for. It is just marvellous. I really, really have enjoyed everything about this series so far. I love lit RPG outside of manga, and I feel like this has given me that within this medium. But it is more than just a lit RPG story. Jinwoo's story so far has been brilliant. There have been moments where I've literally been like, go on, lad, where he's pulled certain things or summoned certain things without giving you any spoilers, where I'm just like, holy footballs, this is amazing. It really is one of them series that's just got me out of my seat and made me cheer. And I'm all for that. So I'm really excited to continue this series, see where it goes. This is definitely a book that I would recommend. Prerequisite, if you are into manga and you haven't read anything like this before, it is manhwa, I believe, which is written in South Korea. So it is written from front to back, the same as traditional English books are written. And you also read it from left to right, and it is also in full colour. So if that puts you off, don't read it. I actually really like the full colour format. I feel like it's a bit more immersive and helps me get into the zone. Bloody fantastic book. So that is everything I've read in my first month and a bit since reading manga. I have got so many books behind me and down here and up here and up here that I plan on reading soon. One of my priorities is a book that's been sent to me very recently as well off my Amazon wishlist called Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. This was sent by the amazing Colleen. Thank you so much, Colleen. Big up yourself. So I'll be picking this up. But again, it's one of them things where it seems like quite an expensive hobby, and I don't like the idea of continuing to keep reading the first few volumes and realising I can't get hold of the next ones, or having to buy 20 volumes of something in one, which is ridiculous. I'm not doing that. I've got 3 children. But the reason I'm going to pick this up soon is because I did see that this series is on some sort of app. Might be that webtoon that I saw where I can read it all for free on there once I've read this one. So yeah, big up Colleen. That's everything I've read. As you'd imagine, I would pretty much recommend all of them. I am a stickler for doing a little bit of research. I know my taste when it comes to general fiction books, like fantasy books and sci-fi and stuff. So I tend to try and target my manga books towards the books that I like outside of manga. That way, I'm not wasting money and my reading should always be fun, which it usually is. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you've watched till this point, I love you the most. And don't forget to like and all that stuff. Mwah.